You guys have been talking about the ship, saying the name of the new mining ship, the new mining ship, the new mining ship. And I've kind of tried to look the other way as much as I can and not see much of it. It's been very hard to avoid. And as soon as I found out the name, I knew what the ship would do because I play another game that an Arrasted is a tool in the game, so I know what that does. So I kind of had an idea of what this thing would do and what would be special about it. And so I'm not very surprised about what it can do, or what it should be able to do, because I haven't seen the video yet. But I just, what little people have said, I have an idea of what the thing can do. But this is Inside Star Citizen Arrasted development.
The Argo SRV is the tow truck of the universe. It is that single player.
So it's the SRV too? Okay, cool.
I want to rescue, recover, retrieve other vehicles in the game.
SRV stands for Standard Recovery Vehicle.
It's for tugging other ships around. Maybe they're disabled, maybe it's a difficult docking situation and it needs help.
It's meant for when you've got ships stranded out in space that they need some help. You're there with your flashing lights and your bright orange ship to go and rescue them.
It's for the player that wants to help rather than go out murdering.
You often go out murdering?
Yeah. He does.
I often go out murdering.
Yo, he is the biggest troll out of the entire dev team. He's my favorite dev. He was outside of Luke Presley, he was the first dev that ever hung out in my channel. Way, way, way back. And used to troll me all the time. It was so fun.
Argo has a very strong visual style in our game. So there's a few kind of core elements that we knew we had to have. It's got to be orange. There's no question about that. It needs to have kind of VTOLs that rotate. It needs to have big engines at the back, and it needs to feel kind of super industrial and very functional compared to a lot of our other manufacturers. One of the things that we learned early on when we were doing Argo ships as a manufacturer is, as the orange is such a bold color, we really want to kind of keep that contained as much as we can. So what we try and do now with our Argo ships is we still want them to be orange, we still want them to be very recognizable, but we want that all to be contained within one area, and then the underside is kind of like the more mechanical area and the kind of black bellies. And I think,
how many of you guys that use Argo ships, how many of you keep them orange? I prefer to. That's my preference. I do like occasionally changing the paint on them or whatever, but I like that they're orange. And but I will say that I don't like that the interior is orange as much, right? And I a big part of me wishes they would almost stop making ships and fix the way they do things so you can change the interior colors as well.
I think that difference between the tops and bottoms really helps to add some believability to the vehicle. Not everyone loves orange, so we will have different paint options available.
The Argo SRV has 3 tints. It has a really nice white one and a black and yellow one, which is my favorite. And it has also this blue beigey one, which I think out of all the ships is kind of new for Argo.
I love this color. And I am so upset that you can't also put this on the mole. This is my favorite color that they've ever put in the game. I think it's closest to, if you can't tell, it's pretty darn close to some of the colors I'm using. And I want all of my ships, all my org ships, all of it to be this color. And it's only on the SRV. I looked during Argo Day, not on the mole, not on anything else.
Go that kind of color combination. My favorite thing about the exterior of the SRV is that it's very consistent with both the mole and the raft. It has this diamond shape on the top with the circular feature. I like that kind of consistency. It really feels like a family of ships.
Don't you think they're just like leaving money on the table? Why? I don't know why it's so difficult to add these paints or whatever they do. The paint, they have the worst paint system in gaming by far. It just, none of it makes any sense. But why not, when you deliver paint, why not make it available to everything possible so you make the most possible from it? It's kind of weird, right?
Originally, the SRV didn't have much of an interior, but we pushed for like a bigger one.
We've tried to balance both the Argo utility feeling that everyone loves.
I wonder what it looked like before.
Keeping it nice enough that you could bring in a couple of explorers whose ship's down.
Yeah.
You'll enter the engineering area. This is actually where you enter the ship. The airlock or the lift is in the floor of that room. Within this room contains all the components for the SRV. It's kind of like the RAF's corridor, but all compacted and refined more into a single space, so everything's kind of jammed in there, so you can...
Okay, so they pushed for you to get the larger interior, which I like, but they put all of the components in the bay that everybody comes in. So you could be like, yeah, I need help, Mr. SRV. And then you're like, all right, come on my ship. And then they just open all the doors and just shoot all the components. And they're like, well, now you need help.
Access everything at once if you need to. Moving on, you'll go onto the bridge. You'll sort of be greeted by your standard Argo styling, your space trucker seat, your ball bars and your nice angled glass. Then moving on to the rear of the ship, you've got the habitation area. In the habitation area, you've also got bed for if you're long hauling.
It's obviously an edge case, by the way.
For going into hazardous places. And like a gun rack, so you've still got that utility in there as well.
My favourite little bit about that is it's got like a sort of like rest and recovery area for the person being rescued. So they don't have to stay in their busted up soft depth ship. They can come over to the SRV, sit at the table, get like a recovery coffee.
That you can kind of sit down and look out and you can see your ship being towed by the SRV.
That's kind of cool, actually. The recovery coffee, by the way. Have you guys ever had a recovery coffee?
The Argo SRV, it has a very large tractor and towing beam assembly on the rear of the ship that the pilot controls. So they navigate towards the vehicle, swap to the turret view that controls the tractor beam,
recovery
and then
cruise
they position
locks.
it and lock onto that ship.
Thank you, Pramster.
Reasons why you would use it? Maybe you've run out of fuel and you don't want to pay some exorbitant Starfarer owners fees to refuel. You want your friend to come tow you back to a spaceport. And most importantly...
What? I gotta listen to that again. This is my favorite thing. When the ship guys explain gameplay, that everything they do actively hurts.
Reasons why you would use it? Maybe you've run out of fuel and you don't want to pay some exorbitant Starfarer owners fees to refuel. You want your friend...
You can't pay a Starfarer owner because nobody's made... Oh my God. You can't pay them. You can't pay them because the Starfarer didn't work for 15 patches in a row.
...and to come tow you back to a spaceport. And most importantly...
Most people don't know that you can get repaired from soft
death. It still doesn't
now.
work?
Obviously, you won't be in a safe place if you got put into soft
What
death.
did he just say?
...come tow you back to a spaceport. And most importantly...
Most people don't know that you can get repaired from soft death now. But obviously, you won't be in a safe place if you got put into soft death. So the SRV is going to come along, tow your ship to a safe location where it can get repaired. It's like a car recovery vehicle if you break down on the motorway sort of thing.
Can be towed back to a spaceport, and then that ship can be repaired back to a state of flight.
For real? I don't believe that. Because if that was true, it would have been all over Reddit. It would have been the biggest news of all time. Ask PC. Did he test it? It doesn't work. Yeah, of course it doesn't. That would have been the hugest news. That would have been everywhere. He wouldn't be able to see a lot of people don't know. Nebo tried it yesterday and kind of partly worked. What does that even mean?
The SRV really begins to shine once the resource management system comes into play, because you won't always be in full soft def.
It's probably
you
in a dev build. Yeah, maybe 322.
Thrusters could have malfunctioned. Power plants could be worn out.
But hey, listen, it may not work now, and you can give them a hard time and say, you know, bullshit, you're a liar, or whatever, because some of you guys will do that. But it sounds like it's coming sooner than I thought it was coming, so I'm pretty happy about that. That's really good. I'm not gonna take what they said and turn it into a negative. I'm definitely gonna try and turn that into a positive. That takes this vehicle and finally makes it useful, because there wasn't a whole lot of point to it, other than like some kind of fun, cheeky things that you could do with submissions and stuff, right? So I like that. It's still a lie. Again, you could take it and be completely negative about it, right? And we'll see. But their intentions there are nice. But insurance fraud, true, right? So yeah, we'll have to see, because you can't. I don't know. There's a lot of times that repair doesn't work, period. So maybe that's also the problem here, right? Have you guys tried to repair your ships in the most recent builds? It doesn't always work, and it's very difficult to get it to work. It's just random whether it works or not, which has been classic Star Citizen forever. But I'm going to take this and, you know, maybe go against my name here and say that I'm super happy to hear that it's something that they considered working on and actively probably have in a build somewhere. And because again, the ship has a lot of fun capabilities, but there's really no point in using them. This absolutely creates a point in using them. Now, it doesn't make any sense until they do some changes to soft death where it's not like 99 HP and the ship goes into soft death, an additional HP you knock down and it's full death, right? I guess with Maelstrom there's never going to be full death or engineering or whatever. And yeah, I'm just going to say this. When they talk about mining, they better have gameplay developers talking, because this is the problem with this stuff. You have a bunch of ship developers telling you how gameplay is going to be, and they're clearly not up to speed on these things, and they just end up looking stupid, or not stupid, but they just end up making everything look like everybody look like a bunch of assholes.
Need replacing. All these things are going to result in ships that are fairly immobile, or ground vehicles that are immobile. And we don't want players to just simply go and claim on their insurance for these things as their first port of call. We want people to recover it. It's going to be much more beneficial to you in the short and long term.
I mean, they certainly didn't show it working here. It was classic. They should have had the caveat of from the Star Citizen vehicle capture team or whatever at the bottom left, which they don't have, because yeah, they cut and didn't show it actually.
In terms
working.
of using the SRV, the shields need to be down on the target vehicle or ship. So that could be the player is willingly lowered their shields, or they're in a state where the shields no longer function. And
okay, let's talk about this for 1 second more. It also better cost a lot of money, right? And did he mentioned that they want you to do that instead of claiming? Why? Claiming is super cheap. Do you think that was the reason that they wanted to change the prices for claiming? Now they have a reason to. But again, will we have service beacons for this? No. So they're going to want to move ahead on some of these things without having all the, I guess, the gears in place. I don't know. I'm fine with that, because you don't really need a service beacon. You could just yell in-game chat. Somebody will probably respond to you. Yeah. Claim your ship, lose your grade A components, repair, keep them. Ooh. Do you think they would bring that back with this? that always existed. Maybe they do. Maybe that's one of the things that they want to do. That would be really interesting. I don't know. I think it's a great idea, because then you have the capability of bringing it back. I think they can really go that direction once you're guaranteed to get back into your server shard. When you can choose your server shard, I say, if that's the direction they want to go, and I've always wanted them to go back into that direction, I think then you can do it, because then you can leave your hey, I soft death, I gotta go. I gotta go to eat dinner, or my kid just is getting home from school or something like that, right? And I'll leave my ship out there and I could deal with it later, kind of thing. Might be cool. I don't know. SaltEMike, you don't think that this is an important conversation? I know you guys want me to get to the mining ship. The mining ship is what I'm assuming is a concept. Who cares? This is something that's way more important of a conversation and way more present than some dumb mining ship that, guys, they already shared with us at CitizenCon the RSI lineup of what they're going to spend their time on. This ship wasn't a part of it. How many years away is this thing? Okay? It's literally years. So who's stalling here? Me or them? All right? Give me a break. This is way more interesting.
Needs to be not fighting against the SRV in terms of movement.
The idea of making a tow truck, I think, is a great idea. When you're a little boy and you grow up and you see the breakdown vehicles sat at the side of the road with the flashing lights on, being able to kind of recreate that, but for our own audience, is super fun.
Did he want to be a tow truck driver when he was a kid?
And it is another great entry point into a support career.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of combat and commerce type ships, but it's the next true support class vehicle.
For those of you who don't want to fight, don't want to haul goods, the SRV is there to help you support other players and NPCs in the game.
I love this.
I'll be a tow truck driver. I'm more of a Drake guy.
So you're more of the getting towed guy.
I'm definitely more of the getting towed guy. Yeah, I will need a friend with an SRV nearby.
It's for good people who like to help others, unlike Drake owners.
I love when they say that, where the piracy implications of this thing are so much higher than they are for the good people right now. It is way more a piracy ship at the moment than it is anything else.
Galactic Aerospace Expo is our annual celebration of all things shipped and vehicle in the Star Citizen universe.
I'm assuming this is the mining ship.
Alien starters like the Gattac Sulin, stylish cargo craft like the Crusader Spirit C1, personal people tanks like the Tumble Storm, or the recently made flyable space tow truck, the Argo SRV. And yes, I know, and I can already see the YouTube comments now.
We already got that ship yesterday.
Well, I like spaceships, and I like the people that make spaceships, and I like showcasing their development. But I hear you, so
would anybody really hate on the fact that they shared the SRV?
let's move things forward and discuss the new concept vehicle that's making its debut this Saturday, the RSI Arrasted.
Last year for CitizenCon, we did a vote to decide what vehicle you wanted to see next, and the winner was the mining ship. So what we ended up doing is the large RSI mining ship, which...
Isn't that not what happened at all? Weren't they like, yo, we're making a new mining ship, you have to choose what manufacturer it was, and they didn't let us choose Drake?
This turned out to be the RSI Arrasted.
What is Arrasted?
Absolutely no idea.
Primitive mill, that's used in grinding ores, I think.
Yep.
The name Arrasted derives from the ancient mining tool and technique.
So in Star Citizen, we have a number of mining
It would mine like silver and gold ore
ships already. We've got the Prospector, which is kind of like your starter hour.
I know it from Eco.
The Mole is that kind of first multi-crew ship. It allows you to go out with a few friends and kind of try and work a profit together. And then the top of the scale, we've got the Orion. That's the kind of end game of mining. And we saw this gap between the two. So the RSI Arrasted is the ship that fills that gap. So
we saw this gap in our bank account, So we decided to fill this gap.
Arrasted kind of combines the core visual elements that we've kind of developed over the years of RSI. It still has that definite triangular arrowhead shape to it, so it still feels at home within the RSI family. One of the things we struggled with a little bit at the beginning when concepting it was we didn't want it to feel too sleek. It really needs to feel like it had a functional purpose, and that really led us down exposing a lot more of the industrial elements. We've built on the idea of RSI layering in their ships to kind of really expose the core framework of the ship down the central kind of columns.
It also has a much more comfortable habitation for the crew to live on. It's got plenty.
I'll say I saw turrets. I saw at least 3 turrets, and that's the only mining ship that can defend itself that I could see.
Plenty of utility on board for day-to-day life, as well as a place to actually land additional vehicles in the back.
It has everything you need to spend a large amount of time away from dock, away from station. It's got an onboard refinery. It's got a large...
It has a refinery, which is... When they said Arrasted, when I found out the name, I knew immediately that meant refinery. Which is why I was really pissed off when I found out the name, because then I knew what the ship could do and what was going to make it unique and what was going to make it special. I didn't even need to see it to know that that meant it was a refinery, because I knew what an Arrasted was. And there was no way that it meant just a mining ship that could hold a rock. So I was like, okay. I mean, I like that. That's cool, but yeah.
Large amount of ore storage as well as onboard cargo. It's a kind of big, serious mining ship, and it allows for a crew of up to 5 to kind of go out and really kind of step into that professional.
Ooh, that's interesting what they showed there. You walk out onto here, so where do we keep the different laser heads? Maybe you keep them up here somewhere, and you could swap them out easily. But the other mining lasers appear to be over here on those like winglets at the front. Still kind of, oh, there's another one there that can walk over there. So the human can just be for size comparison. Yeah, but this flat area and the bars in front tell me otherwise. It tells me that we're meant to be here.
Out and really kind of step into that professional level mining outfit without requiring, you know, a big capital ship.
We have multiple stations for different people to actually mine at the same time as each other.
They're all sat together in a very RSI-like bridge section.
True.
The remote turrets that are on the Arrasted all have some level of transformation in terms of their location. The 2 at the front can slide backwards and forwards along, so you don't require the pilot to have to go left a bit, go right a bit.
But then we also have...
That's good change.
A large one in the center, which can descend through the middle of the ships.
Can actually transform down through the ship and out the bottom to cover the underside. So really you can mine in 360 degrees with this ship.
And as...
That is the best bit of change from the current mining ships.
It cuts through the ship. You can actually see the turret as it travels from one side to the other.
And then
mistake. Okay. That is stupid. And again, this is why it's only stupid because there was a better option. I've talked about it before with like the Prospector, and this comes down to ship people designing ships and maybe not mining people designing ships, like the teams who work on mining. What would be a better option? If it can go through the ship, it should be accessed by the cargo hold so you can swap the lasers out from inside the ship. And they chose, ooh, cool little glass window that I could see my laser go through, instead of my laser ends up in the cargo hold and I can swap lasers out to and swap components to the lasers out to, mine the rocks that I need, which in my opinion, again, it's my opinion, is the coolest aspect of the changes. Is like, hey, I need a little help with the resistance here. This laser adds resistance to the rock. We don't want that. Let me swap out my resistance reducing laser, and that would be cool. So again, not thinking about the gameplay, but thinking about the visuals is what these guys do. And I don't think that that's a selling point for me. I think a selling point would have made it functional. Like more functional would have been like, yep, this is way better than the mole. Let's go. Right? Because you got to land the mole, you got to get out, you got to unlock it, you got to do this. If everything was just good, that would be amazing. Maybe this one could be swapped out easily. With the things up top, it makes it look like it could be. But I'm just saying that's something I would have always liked. And I think form over function with career ships, especially ones of like this size, probably a better choice, right?
Additional crew members can help either position the ship if they want to change location or deal with the mined goods at the rear of the ship in the cargo bay.
But let's not ignore that the mining lasers are remote turrets too, which is another fantastic change, right?
But the ship can also hold ground mining vehicles. If you are planet side, some of those crew members could take mining vehicles that you've stored aboard out and do some surface mining whilst the ship hangs around nearby to tackle some ground mining rocks. So this ship...
was that a different rock or was that the Rock DS? I don't even remember what the Rock DS looks like. This was my only argument where when people were like, "Are you excited for the new mining ship?" I was like, "Yes, but I'd really like to see them flesh out the rock mining a lot more, simply because of the fact that it's not." And we knew that was supposed to be a big piece of the ship, is that it's able to hold ROCs. I would like them to know a lot more about what that's going to look like, maybe what refining with that does, or, would you introduce more ground vehicles, larger ones, that would maybe mine actual prospector-sized rocks, but as a ground vehicle, Because... let's look at this. These lasers don't look like any other lasers that we have on any other ship. Do you really think these are going to have just size 2 laser heads on them? They'll probably have size 3, which is a lot more powerful than a size 2. And if you've ever mined before, you would know that it does get quite difficult when you're breaking smaller rocks, even in a mole, and you're forced to take a less powerful laser to have an easier time with that. But even then, it can be quite difficult. So, having to swap out components to lower your laser power, things like that, are what you would have to do to break some of the smaller rocks. You would have to assume that this would have some trouble with smaller rocks. And maybe that's what the bay would be for, right? I wonder, can you fit a prospector in there? Who knows? Probably intended for gameplay to only break big rocks. Sure. And that's okay too, right? Will a mining fleet consist of only these? That would be really bad gameplay, right? Wouldn't you want a mining fleet to consist of all 3 ships? I think so. But at the same time, this does feel like a bit of a mining platform where it would be really sick if, this area you landed a prospector on, or the cargo bay, they made enough room for a ground vehicle that can mine larger rocks, right? So the Orion is crazy big. It's like the size of an Idris, apparently. So I don't know. Something in between makes sense, but did you want it to be able to do everything? I don't know. I'm just kind of, my mind is just going, what's good, what's bad, and it's a lot more good than bad, that's for sure.
It is really perfectly placed for people who want to go mining, but don't...
Where are the mining bags? Because these look like the bags, and they're boxes. Also probably a very good change.
What they're going to encounter along the way, they are equipped to tackle anything on the surface, anything on space.
One of the benefits of concepting the Arrasted now is that we know a lot more about our game, a lot more about how mining works and kind of features in the game. That gives us a much better understanding of what's important for a mining ship. And that's one of the things that we'll take on to when we kind of deliver the Orion in the future.
So this is a great example of how development on some ships improves and expedites others. Compared to the Orion, this bridges the gap in a few nice ways. It leverages all the existing...
Because you could see, look, this one is... like, they're empty. This one appears to be, like, coming up. There's some back here? I don't know. This is super weird.
Mining loops and mechanics that we have in-game at the moment, whereas the Orion is going to be solely mining in space.
There's more underneath?
Big ship. designed for sitting out in deep space, mining big asteroids. It won't be capable of going down to planet size and mining on there.
What we kind of learned from the Orion is that a lot of our RSI ships feel very, very aggressive. They feel very military and fast. And if you think of like a big industrial mining ship, the Orion is kind of the opposite to that. It's huge.
This is an old concept image, right? Because this isn't what they sold at all. This was like super old, like thrown away concept.
Kind of bulky ship that is very purpose-built.
That may not be thrown away anymore.
What we want to do with the Arrasted is take the lessons that we'd learned from that and combine that with some of the more modern RSI art styles and manufacturing techniques.
The Arrasted is the sort of all-in-one mining ship. You've started hand mining at the very start. You've progressed to, say, a rock as the next step, then a prospector, then a mole. This is the big step that lets you do a bit of everything. You can mine, you can refine, you can transport. And then if you want to go even deeper into that, then you go off to the Orion at the end.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the SRV is another fine addition to the working class gameplay Argo always seems to specialize in. That the RSI Arrastra wants to be the next big step in the evolution of mining gameplay before its even bigger Orion sibling arrives farther down the line. And that IAE continues to be the biggest ship and vehicle event of the year. But it's also Thanksgiving. And today...
Is there a Reddit thread with the images from the show? Because you guys said that there was like bays at the bottom. I never saw those.
Well,
that's the Orion, not the Orion. From this.
While we continue to always give thanks to you, the citizens of the verse, who make all of this possible, I want to give a special thanks personally to the folks behind the ships. Now, all of the ships and vehicles in Star Citizen are only made possible by the variety of content, gameplay, and feature teams all contributing to their look, feel, performance, and overall experience. Despite a few YouTube comments that seem to think Dan McCabe makes some of these things all by himself.
All right, hold up. Before we move on to whatever Jared's jokes are or whatever it is, I just want to take another peek at this if possible. And see the bottom. Would this be it? There appears to be more containers here. On the sides? I don't know, dude. It's so hard to tell. I mean, they're definitely up here, no? Let's see. No. This is the 3D model. I don't really care for that too much. But because it's just, you know, full of... Looks like a Pioneer. So yeah, all the cargo's here on the side, and it's all square. But it also appears to just be one SCU boxes. And this is again why and up here as well, right? This is again why I called out I don't think this is a good idea to launch these ships. Like their argument here is we know a lot more about mining. Well, if you knew anything about what Cargo's doing, you're trying to get away from the one SCU boxes, and you're trying to get to maybe these are 4s, maybe these are 8s, I don't know, or whatever. But I know you're trying to get away from that size. You guys think these are larger? These could be 8s? You think it's bigger than 1? Okay. I mean, if you think it's bigger than 1, that's good. I hope that's all. I hope we get away from that. Because the 4s are long, right? The 4s aren't square. So, as long as they're not 1s, it's fine. Because I just know that they're trying to get away from that stuff, and it just won't make any sense. Compared to the canopy size, yeah, I mean, it's similar. I guess, but how do we tell what the difference is? We'll find out tomorrow. But the fact that I don't like the look of that. That does concern me a little bit. I like that they're on the side. I don't like that they're on the exterior. I guess they're on the exterior of the Orion as well. I don't know. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm not in love with it, but they did make some improvements just based on what they know about mining now. All right, let's go back to the video, though.
Because there's like 62 people on the vehicle content team alone. If only there were a way to make everybody remember that. Perhaps with the power of song. All right, relax. I wouldn't do that to you. Even I'm not that cringe. So for Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you.
He's that cringe. There's this many minutes left. And yep.
And we'll see you all here next week.
He's that cringe. Here it comes.
And now, the developers of our vehicles by Disco Lando.
Kingsley Von Walker, Nate Lang, Adam Parker, Chris Law, Ben Curtis, John Crew, Alberto Petronio, Ben Parr, Luke Mello, George Coffin, Rich Towler, too, Corey Benford, Aaron Egan, and Patrick Solano, Al Parker, Mark Gibson, and Still, Kevin Turney, then Vimal, and Jin, and Zaheen, and Josh Crow, and Jay Thompson, Lars Lopkins, Samuel Brito, Chris Gates, Bradley Vincent, Tom Hoskins, Chris Smith, April Dillons as well, Matt Vieira, Matt Monty, Matt Gron Jones, Evan Jr., Cy Bomer, and Dunk. Owen and Alex and Alman and Haiti and Leif Livio and Lorenzo. Davender Peliquin, Dan Dexter Taylors, and don't forget Man and Triero. With Hosmer McCabe and then Bartram and Tobero, Cooney and Dree and Kel Norris. I'm way past my time, but we still have designers like Josh Sleepy Tom and Mercedes. There's Stocko and Adam and Corwin and Harry and Ben and Paul Jones and so much.
Put it on Spotify. Yeah, I guess. Well, I found what I'm not thankful for this Thanksgiving. No, but I don't know, man. What do you guys think about the Arrasted? I think it's 3 lasers. So it's how big is the first thing I'm thinking about. Second, it's totally different look. Not sure how much I like it. The third best, those are like the in-betweeners. I'm not sure about the cargo and all that. But the things that I think that they did well was refinery on a ship. I think is important, but then I do think that does take away from the refinery ship that they made and still haven't released yet. So how does this play into refinery gameplay? Should be really interesting. I don't know if it's good or bad. Like rip the Expanse, I don't know. And then, what size will the lasers be? There's a lot of like interesting questions that come up. So it goes live tomorrow, Saturday, if you're watching this on a different day. And it'll certainly come with a Q&A. So that's where we're really going to understand what the thing is. For now, we got the visuals, we got the ship team explaining things, and whatever. But my first questions would be, how does this refinery differ from the Galaxy? And they'll be like, well, the Galaxy has dedicated blah, 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 right? So I'm sure the Galaxy will be good at something that this isn't. And yeah. Put a snub in it. I mean, I would love to see if the Prospector could fit in it. That would be absolutely sick, because then you can have a little bit of everything. But yeah, we'll have to see. So hopefully it can only refine its own stuff, and then you still need the Galaxy for the other things. But again, then what would I use the mole for if I have this? That's the first thing I think of when I see 3 lasers. What size? What would I use this for versus the mole? They did show it landed on a planet, but it looks like it will struggle with that. So I didn't see any VTOLs, did you? So where will the mole succeed over this? Probably surface mining, where this will be your asteroid miner more than anything. What type of ship is the Expanse? It's a refinery, exclusively a refinery ship. So yeah, we'll have to see. Still hope it can refine whatever ground vehicles pick up. It just picks up gems for right now, and that's why I talked about I would love to see them refine, for lack of a better word, like the ROC gameplay into something a little bit with a lot more depth that you would need refining with, because refining gems is a little bit weird. So yeah, we'll have to see. Did you think you saw RSI fans? I don't know. So we'll have to see more about how it separates itself from the other ones, other than size and cargo space, I guess, and refinery. But still very interested to find out the price and what I'm going to need to melt to get it, I guess. But it looks like it's going to be a part of everybody's mining fleet, I could tell you that. And we showed, fleet is kind of a meme, but we showed what a mining fleet could look like last weekend, and it was incredibly fun. It was super cool. And I mean, if that doesn't excite me, the adding to that and making a ship that makes more sense in those scenarios, I mean, this is it. This is it.